Leo, it's always a pleasure to see you and talk to you, especially with these tough times. Um, you are probably one of the best spirits that we can have during these tough times because anybody that follows you knows that you've always got positive messages that you put out there. Like, you've always got a big smile. I don't know, man. You and Pinball Clemens, I swear, have to be two of the happiest people on the planet. I mean, it's funny. I was thinking to myself, it'd be like a flood could happen, and you'd be like, "Well, at least people have somewhere to swim." Like you always find a silver lining in whatever is going on. Where does that come from, man?
Comes from my dad. My dad, he just showed me to have that positive outlook, and I'm really proud of that. And right now, I'm in Whitney Pier, Nova Scotia.
Hmm. How
Do
are
you know
things
what?
there?
Do you know about Whitney Pier?
No,
You never heard of it?
I've heard of it, but you're going to give me some history that I may not know anything about.
Yeah, it's Sydney, Nova Scotia. So I'm out here with my family, with my cousins, and this is where my grandparents are from. They came here on a boat from St. Vincent, and they landed in Sydney, and they worked in the steel plant. My grandfather, his best friend was Isaac Phils, and Isaac Phils was the first Black person to get the Order of Canada.
Amazing, amazing. How does it feel being part of that kind of lineage?
It feels absolutely amazing. Like my aunt is over here, and we've been talking about Nova Scotia history, and it just feels really good in the sense of we've dealt with COVID, we've dealt with Black Lives Matter, and when you walk down the street here and you just say hi to people, and you realize you're proud to be from here.
That's amazing. How does it feel though that 100 years from now, one of your relatives in the future will be
Mm.
sitting in, say, maybe in the same area that you're sitting,
Mhm.
and a conversation is going to happen where somebody is going to be talking about you and what you have done for the lineage.
Uh, that'll be really fun. Like I'm looking out at the pool right now. I'm at my cousin's house, and I'm looking at my young cousins in the pool, and they said, "So he's here today. He's here today, eh?" I wanted to sleep a little bit, but they wanted to come say hi, and they're like, "That's really him," eh? And like that feels really good. And my family out here, they're big entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
So what they do out here, Rody, is our family runs Paul's Pizza Burger. You ever had a pizza burger?
You know what? On the those food channels, I've seen them. Okay, but never had a
Mm.
chance to try them. What's this one like?
Oh, it's great. You go to the corner store, you get one. It's in a bag, and it's a burger, but with pepperoni and sauce and cheese. And it was just named Cape Breton's food last week. And so, the family was on TV and CTV News doing it, and so to answer your question, it feels good to come from a legendary family, and you always just want to live up to that, and I try my best.
You continue that story as we speak with a lot of great projects happening. Let's talk about the new album as we speak is coming out soon. Congratulations on that. What is the
Mm.
album called? And where does this album fit in the stage of your career and who you are?
The new album is called Still Driven, and I got to tell you, Rudy, I flew out here last Saturday. I didn't know what I was going to do in Halifax,
Mhm.
and I hit up Quake Matthews, and he says, come downtown tonight. Scratch Bastards doing a party." So I go downtown. So the first person I see is Classified, and
The Godfather, yes.
right. So now I'm kicking it with Classified and PJ Smith, Ghetto Child. Really respect the guy from out here. So
Mhm.
so we're kicking it, and I shoot the video on Monday, and Classified co-directs the video, and the video features Jordan, and it's called Still Driven because it's about me. I'm all about stay driven, but after 20 years in the game, I'm still driven. like Rudy, I can't go without saying, I remember 20 years ago, this year, it was June 24th, 25th,
Mhm.
and I called my grandfather out here, and I needed some help to make a music video because I wanted to shoot it on film. And my grandfather doesn't talk to me on the phone. It's my grandmother, and she says, "Lair, um, we gotta help. We gotta help him. Yeah, I think he's gonna do something good." And he helped me with that music video, and that always means a lot to me. And it means a lot today, to come out with my song called Last Name. That's one of my singles. Because when you're out in Nova Scotia, Rudy, you talk about your last name. And, because everybody's like, what's your last name? How do I know who your family is? And my last name is Gibson. And I always respect my grandfather. I just went by the Legion to pay my respects to him because he fought in World War II. And that's what the album's about, is embracing your family and your culture, and also just keeping it current with the times. And
That's a, and I want to jump in there. Current times, very important putting those two words together, especially because of what we have gone through in this last year and a half. Culture and recognizing people for who they are. This album
mm,
sounds a lot like reflecting on that, and it doesn't matter if you're a black, indigenous, South Asian, whatever. This year and a half has really been about self reflection. This album really does sort of represent what's been going on.
yeah, and to pick up on that, like I'm wearing my orange shirt today, and I was so proud. Yesterday I was in Bedeck. I ended up being on a boat in Bedeck, and not just one boat, Rudy, not just two boats. I was on three boats yesterday, and it's because I was texting back and forth with the guy who's running our event next week. And he was like, show me some pictures of Bedeck. So it just so happened that I was on a boat. But the friend that I was texting with is Q Mac, Quincy Mac. He's First Nation, indigenous from just outside of Brantford. And last Monday, I was on the res and we shot an Orange Shirt Day show. And it's also going to feature Phyllis Webstead, who runs the Orange Shirt Society. But we're out on this basketball court, the bird cage,
Mhm.
because they call him the Birdman. It has Michael Jordan logo right on it to like, the Airman. And I say to myself, I feel blessed to be out here
Yeah.
because Rudy, when I was saying about COVID and I was saying Black Lives Matter, but residential schools and the awareness that has caused and created over the last year, it affects you. And I like to say I'm from the best country in the world, but we also have to realize that we have problems here. And I'd love to be part of the discussion and not being First Nation, but being an ally. I think that's very important.
Amen to that. And I absolutely agree with you on that. So much self discovery, but part of that self discovery, too, going on, like I said, with you and projects is not only do you have an album, you have a book. What
I
is
have a
going
book
You're an author, man. Like, wow. What is the book about? What's it called and what's it about?
on this grind, life lessons learned from the music business.
Mhm.
I've been in the business for 20 years, full-time job for 18 years. And my favorite rappers were the guys and women that would talk about their life experiences in their music. And that's what I gravitated to. So it's a tribute to Jay-Z in a way, because Jay-Z was one of the guys who said, if there's not a label that's going to sign you, do it yourself,
True.
be an entrepreneur. And so to be a Black entrepreneur and to help artists over the years means a lot. Like just before we did the interview, I was listening to Spotify. I always listen to the new songs, and Devin Tracy came on. And Devin Tracy, he's living in Atlanta now. But I remember when I brought him out to Amsterdam, and he slept in my hotel floor. And I respected him so much because he was young. He
Mhm.
just turned 19, but I said, he's got it because he's willing to do whatever it takes. And so what the book is about it is those life lessons learned from the music business. And it's built for musicians, it's built for entrepreneurs, it's built for students, but it's built for anybody that really wants to do something in their life. Because, for instance, Rudy, one of my chapters is Feel the Dreams. And one of my things is, if you know Feel the Dreams, I'm sure you do.
Of course, of course.
If you build it, they will come. No, that's not true. If you build it and you keep working it and you keep working it and you keep working it and you keep reinventing and you keep learning from your mistakes, that's when they're going to come. And you keep working it and you keep going. But so many musicians think, if I come out with an album, I'm going to make it. And no, you got to keep working.
You spoke the truth. One of the biggest problems I have is with some of the folks who will come to me out of nowhere and say, "Hey, I've released an album. I want you to do an interview with me." And I'm like, "Well,
Mm,
first, I don't know who you are, so you got to
yeah,
explain to me who you are. You got to explain to me why this music needs to be heard from other people to other people. What's the
yes.
message? What's the passion behind it? All these things." And there are times when those artists cannot tell me those things. They're just like, "Okay, I recorded it. I paid all this money. So you need to do an interview with me." It's like, no, that's not the way it works. Is that we're talking the same thing, aren't we?
We're talking the same thing, and you see it from that sense, and I see it from, I want to help
Yeah.
these young artists coming up. And even, you don't have to be young. I have friends that are in the music game that are 40 years old, and they have something to contribute. And I'd like to give them some advice for when you put your project together and you're 40 years old, what's a reasonable expectation for what you can do, and to put it out there and to make it the best effort you could do.
Very true. How do you, and I'm going to go back to, okay, whether it be young or older, how do you get past the images of what a lot of these folks see all the time? Meaning, of course, red carpets, seeing the limos,
Mm.
seeing the images of big cars, big houses, the flash, the flash, the flash. How do you get past that and explain to them that's not the road? But what you just said about sleeping on a floor in a hotel room, you
Mm.
know, how do you get them to understand that a lot of times that's where you're really starting from and may be sleeping on that floor for a long time before you even will be able to get up and have the honor of walking a red carpet?
Yes. So, one cool thing is, when I was in Halifax a few days ago, I saw a few guys come around and they were passing out flyers. And I said, wow, it's been a long time since I had a flyer in my hand. And they were talking to the guy to try to get backstage and just hang out there. And I love that. I love the hustle.
Yeah.
And more artists have to have the hustle, you know. But one of my favorite things about being a rapper, and one of my chapters in my book, is called Pop the Trunk, because I used to pop the trunk. I used to go up to Wasaga Beach, and I used to have 100 CDs in the car, and take one box, 50 CDs, and we would walk around. And how are you going to sell those CDs,
Yeah.
right? How are you going to sell them? And you can't just say, do you like hip hop? But we had to strike up a conversation, and I had to say, I'm going to do a freestyle for 1 minute. Tell me three things to rap about. They'd all say girls, cars, and drinking beer.
Mhm.
And I would do it in 1 minute. And as soon as that freestyle was done, I'd say, I'm selling the CD for $5. And they would buy it. And then the cool thing was, because we were hanging out there during the day, people would drive by and they would be playing the CD in the car.
That's amazing.
And I think it's really important for young artists, even though we're not in the CD era, to learn those lessons of how do you sell your music? Because as an artist, you think you're the greatest. But how do you convince other people to listen to you? Like, and the lineage of musicians, especially
Yeah.
rap music now, like, when you go back to, like, I go way back to Melly Mel, but like KRS-One and Joyner Lucas just dropped a song today. How do you stand out?
Mhm.
And how are you self-aware enough to stand out? So my book speaks about self-awareness, and that's what I learned from hustling and popping the trunk, because I learned how to sell a CD.
You're still giving back, man. We got the summits coming up, don't we?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Northern Power Summit. I love how we were able to do it virtually this year, but still do it like amazing. And I just love the international people that want to come by. And Toronto's such a hot spot, and not just Toronto, across Canada. I say that because I'm out here in Nova Scotia as well,
Mm.
but it's really cool for people around the world to say we want to connect with Canada, because I remember the days when saying you're from Canada wasn't cool, and now we're at a level where Drake, Weekend, Bieber, Jesse Reyes, on are doing so well from here that everybody wants to be or connect with something in Toronto, and I think that's really cool.
It is. When is the next summit? Do we know yet?
Oh, for sure, August next year.
August next
Yeah,
year.
yeah, but in the meantime, we're going to be doing events around the world. I'm doing an event in London, England, in 3 weeks, and then I'm going to do another event in Amsterdam, and right after that, and then I'm going out to South Africa, and doing South African Music Week, all in partnership with Northern Power Summit, showcasing the best of Canadian music, and not just hip hop, but we are always showcasing the best of Canadian music and giving a light to the artists that might not be heard, but people need to hear.
It seems like for the last 20 years, you've done things right for yourself with everything you've done in your career. But if we can jump into that hot tub time machine and go
Mm.
back 20 years, and you could go and talk to yourself 20 years ago, is there any other advice that you would have told yourself back then?
Number one lesson I learned is patience. Be more patient with yourself. Realize it's going to take time, and be patient, especially as a young person. When you're 19, 20, 21, you want everything to happen like this.
Mhm.
And I wish I realized, let it take a long time, because, and that's what my advice is for artists too. I'd rather be a legacy artist, like thinking that I've had this career for 20 years
Hmm.
and that I'm going to have it for another 20, 30, 40 years. That's the way to go. And I wish somebody was there to tell me that. But Rudy, the hard part was I only had one person to tell me advice. But the great part about that is it was the one guy who told me the advice, Maestro Fresh West. And what a legend, what an entrepreneur, and what a mentor, for him to say, hey, D, you got to pace yourself. Um, you're going to do this for a long time. So don't just try to think of one song. Don't try to have a one hit, have a career. Don't be a one hit guy. And I learned from him. And I'm so proud to say he's my mentor. And he wrote the foreword to my book. So can I say this though, Rudy? You know what he
Please.
says in the foreword?
What's that?
He says, Dio always calls me his mentor, but I think he's my mentor. Like, but Rudy, can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
Who's your mentor?
There have been two people. My dad and my brother. And
Mm,
the reason why was because they were the two that got me to fall in love with music. From
mm,
watching them buying vinyl throughout the years, my dad would literally wake up early in the morning on Saturdays. We're talking, this is the 70s. Drive to
mm,
Buffalo,
mm.
get 45s and albums before they came into Canada, bring them over, would have a record, an album or a 45 for one of us kids, my brothers and my sister, and would give it to us. And we would play these. And then, like 3 or 4 months later, we'd hear them on CFTR or Chum. My brother
Right, yeah.
DJing, going out there, going to when they had record shops and being able to find music. To this day, when I play a song, people are going, why didn't I know about this song from back then? My brother was so good at that. Those are the two I would say are my definite mentors.
Um, yeah, that's such a cool story. Because the music discovery is such a great thing, and
Yeah.
it's great when you have mentors to put you on to music and to make you learn music. Like my aunt is just telling me about the Lincolns. I'm like, I don't know the Lincolns, but now I got to go look them up and see the music that they did out here in Nova Scotia.
It's an amazing thing. Look, before we wrap this up, you were talking about the people that you were hanging with just recently,
Mm,
getting together.
mm,
I remember there were two moments for me that when I really took a step back and I thought to myself, I can't believe I'm doing this. One
mm,
was when I was having dinner with Lionel Richie, and I was sitting there and I'm looking and I'm going, I'm having dinner with Lionel Richie. As a kid, I'm listening to the Commodores, and now I'm sitting there telling him, "You gonna pay for this bill or what?" And two, at the Grammy Awards, the last time I was at the Grammy Awards, being backstage and talking to the folks that were coming in
mm,
and realizing I'm looking around, I'm going, I watched this as a kid. And
mm,
I am backstage talking to the winners as this is happening, and people are going to hear what I'm talking about around the world.
mm.
Where was either 1 or 2 year moments when you felt like that, like, I cannot believe this is happening? When you just told me when you were hanging with them boys, I thought to myself, that's a moment. That's an incredible moment.
Well, first I have to say you had dinner with Lionel Richie. And when I listened to Easy on Sunday Morning a few months ago, and then I realized what the song was really about. I listened to
Yes.
it so many times and I was just like, this is just a relaxing song. And I forgot what the song was really about. Um, but I have Rudy, I got a song called Made It Moment.
Hmm.
And that's what I talk about in my book too. Made It Moment. A moment where you just celebrate your win, you pat yourself on the shoulder. And for me, it was when I was in Singapore. And I was downtown Singapore, and just before we hit the stage in front of everybody, like 5,000 people, um, my best friend, you know, says to me, he's like, "Okay, guys, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna do it, you're gonna perform like you always perform, and don't think of this as a big show. Just go there and do it." And the DJ was famous. Famous.
Yeah, no, famous.
So famous is my DJ, and he's like, how about we just go out there and just do the show like we always do?
I would say that.
Right? Because he was trying to give the pep talk, but
Hmm.
Famous was like, just go do what we always do. And we went out and we did it. And as soon as the show was over, I called my dad and I said, Dad, we just did a big show and we're in Singapore. And he says, I'm proud of you, son. And it, there's nothing better than hearing your dad say, I'm proud of you.
Amen to that. Look, I gotta let you go and get back to the family because they're probably still wondering, like, is he gonna come out?
Oh,
Is he gonna?
the young cousins are yeah, they're like, we haven't really seen.
I gotta let
And
you get back.
he's got to do an interview, like he's doing an interview, like.
Ah,
But I got one last question for you.
yeah, yeah, go for it, man. Go for it.
best wrestler you ever met?
Ric Flair,
Oh,
Nature Boy, Nature Boy. I know people right now. There's some negative stuff going on with him,
I know. Yeah.
but I grew up on wrestling from yay high, from the Sheik and Abdullah the Butcher to Steamboat to Ric Flair, whatever. Flair by
Steamboat.
far. Steamboat is amazing wrestler, amazing art. It's funny that lately when I go and work out, what I've been doing is I've been watching and listening to the old Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling days. And that
Mm,
would have been like 79, 80, 81, 82, 83. Steamboat and
mm.
Youngblood, Greg Valentine, Bob Orton Jr., um, just the classic Dick Slater, just the
Dick Slater.
classic wrestlers. And, Mike Rotundo, who of course became IRS. And I've had a blast watching them because you
Barry Windham.
realize Barry Windham, who was Blackjack Mulligan Jr. I I had
Billy
a
Jack
blast
Haynes.
watching it, Billy. It's funny because you realized how good they were and how good the shows were for just an hour. They didn't need
Mm,
3 hours. One
mm.
hour gave you so much excitement. And even the enhanced wrestlers, jobbers back then, I'll tell you
Yeah.
something, man. They were a hell of a
Iron
lot
Mike
better.
Sharp.
Iron Mike Sharp, yeah. A lot of them are a
Did
hell of a
you
lot
ever
better.
meet? Did you ever meet Iron Mike Sharp?
I interviewed him. Interviewed him
No.
backstage at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
of course.
hell
I've
of a
been at those
guy,
shows.
hell of a
Wow.
guy, and he was a fitness fanatic. He would run the stairs at Maple Leaf Gardens before the matches, and he would just keep going up and down, running around. And then after his matches, and everybody was getting ready to leave, he would run it again. And there's stories at times they would lock the doors and not realizing he was still in there running.
No
Like
way.
he was a
Oh,
fitness
wow.
fanatic. But yeah, blessed enough to be able to interview him and so many guys because I was a big fan of his when he used to wrestle out in the Northwest when he
Mm.
tagged up with Jimmy Snuka, and they were the was it PWF Tag Team Champions. So I go way back.
Oh, yeah. And have you ever heard of Q Mac? Like I
Of
was telling you
course,
about Q Mac.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Have you ever talked to him? Like, because he
Never
keeps a
talked to him.
really he keeps a really low profile, but like he's a huge wrestling fan.
I'd love to talk to him, man.
Huge. Oh yeah, you guys would just hit it off, man. He's such a big wrestling fan. Like, and he'll love stories like that. Like I love how you were going like through Mike Rotundo.
Yeah, man. Because like I said, I grew up on them, and it's funny because again, not like I think right now there's a big surgence going on with wrestling right now, especially with AEW has been doing,
Mhm.
which I think is great. It's
I
stepping
think
up
it's
the
great.
game. I think it's
You
stepping
gotta
up the
have
game for the
competition.
WWE. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I what I love about AEW because when I watch it, it so reminds me back of the Mid Atlantic, Georgia,
Mm.
Florida, even up in Canada with international wrestling, Montreal wrestling, Calgary wrestling. It's going back to that, and I think that's what it's needed. Yet you can be all the high flyers and everything else, but if you can't tell the story in the ring and why you're doing what you're doing, then it doesn't
Mhm.
matter. And it's the WWE has finally gone back to getting people invested emotionally, not just throwing matches together and just going, okay, we're going to do it this way. It's the
Right.
whole emotion, and that's what I'm enjoying. And when I look back at the old time wrestling, that's what I said. I can watch an hour of that and just lose my mind to 3 hours and just waiting for maybe one or two matches.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you completely. I love what they're doing. I think it's great, and but it is about the story and how you're going to build the story. WWE is losing too many wrestlers. Um,
And
I don't
not
want to
using
say
them
he's
right.
lost,
And
yeah,
not
and
using
not
them.
using them right. That's they're not using them right. Like, and I don't want to say Vince has lost his touch, and I don't want to say Triple H has lost his touch. But come on, man, come on.
Well, I think the biggest problem too right now is because, of course, Triple H not running NXT anymore. He got pulled from that.
Mm.
But they're still supposedly going to try to build territories again, which is good. But the thing is, sometimes Vince McMahon is too much about style and not about the substance, emotion in the ring. AEW is all about emotion in the ring. Even if the guys only weigh 180 pounds,
Yeah, yeah,
those 180-pound guys are putting in so much.
for sure.
Sammy Guevara, like, oh my goodness, love him. Like, these guys are putting emotion in the ring. And um, I think the one of the other problems I think too, which kind of bothers me a little bit, is um, these. When I grew up, when you saw a wrestler, first off, he looked like a wrestler, not a bodybuilder.
Right,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
and,
I know exactly
and
what you mean.
and two, I didn't know about their life. I just knew
Mm.
what was going on in the ring. I don't want to see a guy who's supposed to be a killer and then he's smiling on, on Instagram with a kid in his hand and, being the sweetest guy. I just want to see you as a killer. I want to be afraid of you. I want you being this nice guy. So it takes away from the illusion because then you're just like, okay, I know I'm watching something that isn't completely real, which is why I love when I find out about the legit guys.
Right, yeah.
That's when I really,
Or yeah, yeah, yeah. Back when Iron Sheik got caught smoking weed in the
yeah,
car.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know. So last question though. Last
yeah.
question. Where's your family from?
Family of Guyanese. I was born in England,
Yeah,
so I went from Guyana
yeah.
to England, England to Toronto.
So the time I saw you, the one time I saw you was outside in Ottawa. We were at the Junos,
Yeah,
and I just shouted you out, and you were like, "Make sure you contact me." Like but I was with a Blair. He was staying with
uh,
Dwayne Blair. I gotta figure out how you guys are connected. They're from Guyana. Dwayne, he's from London, Ontario.
mhm.
Um, I'll figure out who his dad is and everything. Like, I went up to Ottawa for the wedding too. But like the Blairs in Guyana, man.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Mm.
oh yeah. Both sides of the river, both sides of the river. So,
All right, so that's what they'll say.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay,
Anyways, my
yeah.
brother.
No, hey, no, it's great. Like, well, yeah, pool out here, and they're all like, like you're working so hard.
Well, you know
Sorry, we
what?
cut off for a second.
That's okay. That's okay. But it's good to see that you're back with family. It's good to see that you're
Yeah.
putting these projects out. And I will say it 1,000 times. I am so proud of you and what you are doing for not just for the citizens of Canada, but the music for
Mm.
Canada. And you've
Oh
really been
wow,
able to put them together, man.
thank you. And I was trying to tell you this earlier, but you gotta hear "Still Driven" the song. I don't know if you heard it yet with Jordan, but on my Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh yeah, like right, yeah.
You know what we should
Appreciate
You know what we
appreciate you,
should do,
brother.
man? As we wrap this up, what we should do? Maybe we could do a Zoom interview after one of the big pay-per-views or something and just talk about it and see what we think about
Oh
it, man.
yeah, oh that'd be great. That'd be great for
I'd love
sure,
to
for
do
sure,
that. Anyways,
for
let
sure.
me let you go. Get back to the
Yeah,
family. Be safe. All right, man.
I, uh, I don't think I'll have a problem with being safe.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna stay with you. You heading out there?
Yeah, yeah. Just I don't even know how to open this door. I don't want to break the door. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, what?
But can you spin the phone at least so we can see?
Halfway. Oh, there we go. See, there we go.
There we
Yeah.
go.
See, yeah, with the fam.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah, so
Beautiful
so
family,
gonna
man.
chill with the fam. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right, man.
Yeah, this is Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
How y'all doing?
Oh, careful, watches.
Oh, I'm getting
They
that
won't
look.
be, yeah, yeah.
No, no,
They
I'm
won't
getting
be able
the,
to hear it because I got the AirPods, but
no, I'm getting the look like. So you're the one who's keeping him away from us.
yeah, for sure. But because it's done work now, so I can take out the AirPods and just chill with the fam. I have a hot
Fantastic.
tub
You
for
do
sure.
that, man.
Great talking to you, brother. Great talking to you.
Always be
Always.
safe, and we'll talk soon.
I'll try my best. Talk soon. Peace.